All right, if any of you are only members of the MLS but not members of the association, you don't need to stay anymore. So if you're online, I should have said that 10 minutes ago, but you can log out and Stephanie will be sending you a test to complete. For those of you who are Realtor members, the next section will be on the Association of Realtors, followed by the Code of Ethics. So let's talk about the fact that that term up there says Realtor. It doesn't say Realtor, it says Realtor. There's no extra syllable in the middle. So that's something that's very important for all of you, that when you meet with clients, you explain to them that you are a Realtor and you don't call yourself a Realtor, because they're going to say, I'm not sure you are if you don't know how to pronounce that. But it's like a real estate office, a realty. No, it's a realty, not a realty. And the way I explained that to my agents was, no, that would be reality, and that's not us. But anyway, just be aware that it is Realtor. The other thing is, see the big R after it? That's a registered trademark. So for all of us who are Realtors, we're proud of the fact that we're Realtors, and we like that term. And it means that you're a member of the National Association of Realtors. If we would misuse the trademark name, we could potentially lose the trademark. So it's important that we understand what trademark requirements are around the term Realtor. So first off, to be a Realtor means you are a member of the National Association of Realtors. It doesn't mean you're a real estate licensee. As many people will say, oh, you're a Realtor, they think Realtor means licensee. It does not. It means you're a member of the National Association of Realtors. That's what gives you that right. By the way, I have in my basket here little R's that you get to wear on your lapels, showing that you are in fact a Realtor, that you'll get at the completion of the orientation and Code of Ethics. So if you would say, I am your hometown Realtor, that would actually be a violation. It's, if it's John Smith, Realtor, that's fine. But you have to be careful on using Realtor and putting any kind of adjective in front of it. So I teach the green designation class nationally for the National Association of Realtors. And we're very careful that we can't let our designees say they are a green Realtor, because that's now modifying the trademark term, which makes it more of a generic term, and we could potentially lose our trademark. So we have to say, I am a Realtor with a green designation, but I'm not a green Realtor. Things of that sort. So just be careful on that. Not a major issue for you, but just be aware. So our website on the association side is sbaor.org. Stephanie, who you all met when you signed up, is the one that put this website together for us and has just done a fabulous job. So we have on there updates and calendars and resources and things, events that are happening. Jeff Chavoya, our communications guy, took every one of the photographs that you see on these screens. Incredible stuff. I mean, he's got a shot from outside of a cruise ship looking back to Santa Barbara. You go, well, how did he get that one? Well, he has a drone. Things of that sort. So all these are all in-house photography that we have. But you'll find great information on there, from the rules and regulations and documents you need, things of that sort, to government affairs issues. If we're having issues on things, you'll find that there. You want to file an ethics complaint or know more about that, it's all right there on the site. All the things about events and education, whatever, check it out. If you haven't checked out sbaor.org, I sure recommend you do so to see what we have available. So here's our staff. Casey runs events and education. So we just had a member appreciation party. She put that on. The big thing they do every year is a golf tournament. From the events committee, she also oversees the community outreach committee that's raising money for CATA this year, as well as all the educational offerings, the once a month tips and taste. Lisa, who has been sitting right back here, runs the front desk. I call her the director of first impressions because when you walk in the door, she's the first person you get to talk to. If you call on the phone, she's the first one. So she's there. Jeff, I mentioned, as her communications. Stephanie, you've all pretty much met her, I'm assuming. Does membership, media, professional standards issues. Ani is our MLS director. Krista Pleiser is our government affairs director. Mary Cantello is our controller, so she takes care of all financial issues, including preparing and sending you your bills and doing the budgeting and all those kinds of things. And then as the executive officer, I guess you'd call me like chief of staff of the 8 of us. So we have within the association many committees, and we right now are looking at filling committee slots for next year. So think about that. If there's any committee you'd like to serve on, up until October 15th, we are accepting applications for people to serve on committees. So we have an awards committee that what they do is they look and say who's doing exemplary work out there and should be honored, and they are typically honored the first Friday in December at our installation luncheon, where we install our incoming leadership. We have a budget and finance committee, so if you're good with numbers, you might want to get involved there and saying, I want to help prepare the budgets for the association, oversee how monies are spent, things of that sort. By the way, just so you know, where our budget is very healthy right now, that someone in the 1950s had enough foresight to say, let's buy this building. Because many association realtors throughout the state, they're leasing and their lease rates keep going up on them and things. So we own this building. We have a low tax base on it because we've owned it for so long. And we actually lease out some additional space we have up here to attorneys, and they pay us enough to maintain the building, cover our taxes and insurance. So we're in here for free. So that's a great benefit to all of you, because otherwise your dues would have to cover the cost of us having a building. So that was a great move by someone. So we're trying to do things right now of how can we offset future expenses by doing things today. Our front area used to have grass where we were wasting water on a regular basis. We put in a low drought-tolerant landscape area out front that in the last couple of years we've run our sprinkler system like once during the month of August or something like that. And otherwise it's just been off, and yet it stays green. I mean, it's incredible drought-tolerant plantings. So we're saving on water for all of you, so we don't pay out that. Changed everything to low-flow fixtures inside. We now have the building solar powered. Our average bills were running in the summertime about $1,300 a month. In the last 9 months, our highest bill was $41 because of the solar system we put in. So we had money sitting in reserve in the bank at 0.5% interest or something like that. We instead invested that into the solar system, and in 5 years we'll get a complete payback. That's the equivalent of putting in the bank at 20%. And then from then on, we'll still have that free power. So we're looking at things like that all the time of how can we make sure we don't waste your money, because we know that anything that we spend money on is your money. It's members' money. And so we do the very best we can and negotiate on trash rates, alarm rates, everything we do. The C.A.R system, as an example, they wanted to charge us for the tax service. They started at $2.49 per member per month to have this service. And we settled out at $1.50 because we just said, we're not going to pay it. You want to change? Got to keep coming down. It kept coming down, kept coming down. Finally, we got to the point where we said, okay, we can afford that for you. But I negotiate harder for you guys than I ever do for myself, because it's like I'm the fiduciary of your money. And so we do a really good job on that, and our budget and finance people do a good job of estimating what will our membership be, what services are we providing, so where do we need to set our dues. And we haven't had a dues increase in years, more than 10 since we've had any kind of dues increase, because we manage it well. Now, not to say that we don't have a dues increase to you, because the National Association of Realtors is having a $30 dues increase this next year. So your dues will go up by $30, but none of that's coming to us. That's all on the national level. So by the way, when you join the Association of Realtors, you're joining through us. You join us, the California Association, and the National. You might say, oh, I only want to join Santa Barbara. I don't want the state and national. No, it's all or nothing. It's a a three-way agreement that we have that if anybody's going to join any of the three, they have to join all of the three. And it works well. That you get the benefits from C.A.R. and NAR are great member benefits that you wouldn't want to pass up anyway. We also have an education committee that puts on the tips and tastes and those NAR designation courses, things of that sort. So watch for those. The events committee, they put on little bags over their heads and dance. But we raised a lot of money for local charities. I got to turn that one off. Last year we raised about $75,000 off our golf tournament. We typically will do around 50, something in that range. We also are raising this year probably in the neighborhood of $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for CATA for their teen court program that lost their funding, was going to have to close up to help troubled teens to keep them from going through the regular court system. So we came in and we're giving them a large chunk of money this year through our fundraising efforts for them. But we've got people out there working hard to make sure we take care of the community. Speaking of working hard, we've got a government relations committee that what they do is they oversee government at all levels, local, state, national. We're watching what's happening in Carpinteria and Goleta, the county, the city, and getting involved. And we're having our voice heard when they talk about vacation rentals. We don't always win them, but we're out there making sure we represent the realtor position of what's important to protect private property rights. And they know we're out there. We are a force in the community. We also have an LCRC, which is the same committee acting with a second hat, and that's Local Candidate Recommendation Committee. So they will interview all the candidates for the various offices and be able to then give recommendations of how you should vote for the Realtor Party. So we don't care if somebody's Republican or Democrat. That doesn't matter to us. What matters to us is where do they stand on private property rights? Where do they stand on zoning information reports? Where do they stand on vacation rentals? You know, those kinds of things. And we're going to say, here's the best candidate to put forward for the issues that we have. Do they understand the housing needs? Are they going to try to put in rent control because they don't understand that that's going to actually hurt tenants? But they think it's going to be, we've got to stop these landlords from raising their rents. And they just don't get it that if they put in rent control, landlords will leave being landlords, the number of rentals will drop, and prices are controlled by supply and demand. Prices will go up if they enact rent control. So we have those kinds of issues that we're out there making sure we educate the community on. Speaking of that, there's 2 propositions on the ballot this year that are highly recommended. You've probably been seeing things coming out from us, but the recommendation is vote no on 10 and yes on 5. And I'd be glad to give you more information on those 2 issues if you need it at the end. So with that, we have a Realtor Action Fund Committee that helps raise money so that we can do these things. All the efforts that we're making are not free of charge, and if we have to do advertising and different things, we need additional funding. So an evaluation's been made that it's about $148 per member is what it takes to run our political activities. So that's what we call the real cost of doing business. Now there's many of us that give like $1,000 a month and things like that to offset those that don't give. But on your bill, when you get it in December for your January bill on the Association of Realtors, there'll be a line item on there of $148 for the Realtor Action Fund. It is a voluntary contribution. You absolutely have the right to wipe that down to 0. My recommendation to you is if you haven't been making money and you're not doing business yet, then it makes sense that you not pay a whole lot of money out until you are making money. I understand that, but don't wipe it down to 0. If you can give $25, $50, $100, whatever you can give something, because that's the money that's used to keep sales tax out of services. Every year for the last 5 years, the legislature has introduced a bill that says we need to tax services. Kentucky just passed one, and some other states, where they're saying we want to collect sales tax on things like real estate commissions, escrow fees, termite inspections, every component part of our transactions. Can you imagine you had to pay sales tax on all of those items, what the cost, and sales tax is typically paid by a buyer So the buyer now has to come in with all the funds necessary to close the deal, plus now pay tax on escrow fees, title insurance, termite inspections, etc. We have fought that one back diligently year after year, and we've won every year so far. But we know it's coming back again. The state's always looking for ways to generate revenue. And they go, fees on service, that's a way we can generate revenue. And we're saying, no, you're going to kill homeowners. It's going to wipe them out. We've got to fight that battle. So anyway, those battles take money. That's why we recommend you give to the Realtor Action Fund. So we don't ask you to make a donation. We ask you to make an investment in your industry, because that really is what you're doing. Okay, so MLS, we've already talked about the MLS, so we have an MLS committee within the association. We also have professional standards. We'll talk about them more when we get to the, we have professional standards, grievance, and ombudsman we'll talk about in the Code of Ethics section. We have a statistical review committee. So watch for that every February. About the middle of February, there will be a statistical review where we'll have one of the head economists from the California Association of Realtors speak. We'll have somebody talking about our local issues. We typically will have a commercial broker talking about what businesses are coming to town, what's happening, what's shaking out in the commercial realm, those kinds of things. Very good information. It's so nice where you can go and talk to your client and say, well, in the last year, prices have risen by 4%. Our inventory has dropped. Our inventory has risen. Whatever it's happening, you can go in there and be the expert because you went to the statistical review. It's going to cost you about $50, something like that, for a ticket to go, but I highly recommend it. And pay attention, take notes on the stuff so that you can go out and be an expert. Because if you think about it, if you were the client dealing with a real estate agent and they could right off the top of their head tell you exactly what the percentage increase was last year and what the inventory is doing and that kind of stuff, doesn't that give you tremendous credibility? So we have that available. Mid-February is by the time it takes to get all the stats from the previous year done. So look for that. We also will run a mid-year statistical review at our breakfast at the beach or rock, depending on where we are at the time. And it's using Mark Sneap from the California Economic Forecast Project. He used to be the chief economist for UCSB for their economic forecast. And so he does a great job also. So we have a mid-year, what's happening so far this year. So watch for those two. That one's free as part of our breakfast meetings. And then the annual one, which is the larger presentation, does cost. But we have a committee that puts all that together for you. I need to change my slide. We used to have a Unity committee where we raise money just for Unity. It's now changed to the Community Outreach Committee, where we're raising money for various charities, not just for the Unity shop. And then we have a board of directors. And the board oversees all aspects of this association. They're the ones that set the policies and the procedures. So if something comes up in the MLS where we want to change a policy, like having the coming soon policy last year as an example, that then has to go to the board of directors for their approval because they're the ones that set the policies. They're the ones that set policies on basically everything we do, including they hire me. So I work for the board of directors. I then hire the rest of the staff. And so we make sure that they understand that they fly at the 50,000 foot level and they take care of setting the broad range policies, and it's up to us as staff to carry out those policies and that they don't need to micromanage that. And we've got a very good working relationship. But it's all volunteers. It's your peers that have served on committees over time, then put in to be on the board. And then within the board, we have a secretary treasurer, a vice president, president-elect, and president that are our leadership team, we call them, that if someone needs to make a decision between board meetings or whatever, they would have that ability. And the president is the spokesperson for the association. So if we have an issue out there that somebody needs to go on camera and talk with the press, that'll be, right now, it's Andy Alexander is our current president, so he's the one that would make those presentations. And there are times that Andy's not available, and that would fall on my shoulders. I've had times like during the mud flow in Montecito that I was on with KYT talking about the fact that there's an insurance issue that people don't have flood insurance, but they have fire insurance, and that their homes got wiped out from the mud flow that was a result of the fire, and that their fire insurance should cover that. And we went to battle on that and went to the real estate commissioner, not real estate, the insurance commissioner, et cetera, and we got every insurance company to call that fire related. They were all very careful. Every one of them was very careful to say, we're covering this specific incident, but down line, these people better get flood insurance, because a year from now, if this hillside comes down again, we're not going to call that fire related. And it still would be. You know, in 1969, there was a mud flow in Montecito. Any of you aware of that has happened before? That was 5 years after the Sycamore Canyon fire or the Coyote fire, one of those fires. So Montecito will be vulnerable for another 5 years, is what they're saying, if we get the wrong rain conditions. So it's just something that we need to be aware of in our community. All right, so let's talk about C.A.R. benefits. And if you haven't gone to their site, and I actually have a picture of their old site, they've just recently upgraded, but it's C.A.R. without the periods, .org, O-R-G. And it'll ask you for your NERDS number the first time you log in. Then you create a username and password to log in. Chock full of information, the market data stuff, the legal stuff. Incredible benefits that you get from C.A.R. They have a legal hotline where they have a team of about a dozen attorneys. They get so many calls that just help you with real estate transactions. I'm in a transaction with a client. We've got this circumstance happening. I need some legal advice. They're right there for you. So the C.A.R. legal hotline is one of the huge benefits of C.A.R., but they've got all kinds of government affairs issues, legal issues, market data issues, this information their economists put out, incredibly good stuff. So I highly recommend just go through their tabs and start looking at their information and seeing what's there. I don't have a slide for NAR, but NAR is, it used to be Realtor.org. It's now NAR.Realtor. By the way, all of you can get yourname.realtor if you want to get your own domain. They just opened up .real estate also. I'm sure somebody probably has already gotten Santa Barbara .real estate. So instead of .com or .org, you can use .realtor, real estate, all owned by NAR. They have the rights to those terms, those domains. But on NAR, in addition to everything else, all the resources, they have affiliate programs that will help you save money on various services. So one of them is car rentals. I use this all the time. I rent cars pretty regularly when I go to meetings from here and things. And I will go to hertz.com/NAR or budget.com/NAR. And I'll get about a 40% discount by having that /NAR on there because of the affinity program they have. And by putting that in, it automatically puts the NAR member number right into the discount field. So Avis has it too. So it's Avis, Budget, and Hertz. Then put /NAR if you ever want to rent a car. But go to their other affinity programs too. Like example, you want to buy a Chrysler product. You buy a brand new Jeep or Chrysler or Fiat, you will automatically get a $1,000 discount by being a realtor. On top of any other deal you work. Tell them I'm part of that program, they'll give you an extra $1,000 off. So there's other things like that. I can't tell you what they all are, but check that out. There's more member benefits than you might even think of from being a member of these organizations.